It may be hard to believe based on his physical appearance, but Mario's been playing tennis for almost 20 years. And now he's back once again in Mario Tennis Open for the Nintendo 3DS. Historically, the Mario Tennis series has been divided into two types of games: the visually impressive but more arcade-like console versions, and the graphically simpler but deeper portable experiences, which contain the full-on RPG-type mode where you improve your tennis player's skills over time. For better or worse, Mario Tennis Open eschews tradition and adheres much closer to the console versions, although there are some traces of the portable games to be found. Okay, so if you've never played a Mario Tennis game before, here's what you need to know. It's tennis with Mario. You can play singles or doubles, and there's a wide assortment of shot types available for almost every situation. And of course, there's usually a few Mario gameplay twists thrown in there too, and this time it's in the form of something called chance shots. These shots are much more powerful than standard shots, but to pull one off, you'll have to stand in one of the colored chance areas that appear randomly during a match, and use a shot type that corresponds to its color. But check out what happens. That ball goes flying. But they're not unbeatable, unlike the power shots in Mario's GameCube tennis game, which were overpowered and completely interrupted the flow of the match. But there was one thing that game did better: you could turn them off. That's right, whether you love them or not, you're stuck with the chance shots. And although I'm pretty happy with their implementation, they also greatly impact the way the game is played. For example, because the chance areas always appear where the ball lands, there's never any question as to where exactly the ball's heading. Hell, if the ball has room to bounce more than once, the game will even put a chance area at each spot. There's also very little skill involved in pulling one off. Sure, although you have to match a shot type to the chance area, there's actually a button dedicated to always performing the correct shot type, with the only consequence being that the chance shot is imperceptibly weaker. And because chance areas appear so frequently, you spend most of the time running point to point, which sometimes makes it feel more like a game of follow the leader than true tennis. Now granted, you don't always have to use the chance shots, but why wouldn't you, since they greatly improve your swing and are also basically the only way to score on harder CPU opponents? Fortunately, there is a little more leeway when taking on human opponents, since they're more susceptible to being faked out. Silly humans. You'll probably still end up using them most of the time, but there is a little more strategy in multiplayer since you can use your opponent's knowledge of the shot type against them by using a different shot than the one marked. But again, if you just had the option to turn them off, or even adjust their frequency of appearance, this feature would be perfect. But as is, it's a pretty cool feature that can become a little tiresome at points. Okay, so chance shots are about the only major change to the core gameplay, but there are several new control options available to take advantage of the 3DS's unique features. Most prominently are touchscreen controls. Basically, the touchscreen displays a virtual control panel that allows quick access to every single shot type. Unfortunately, it's fairly cumbersome to use, as it's near impossible to reach every virtual button without either taking your hand off the circle pad, or holding the system single-handedly and using your pointer finger instead. And plus, you can't really take your eyes off the top screen while you're playing tennis. But it's a harmless addition that serves pretty well as a quick control reminder, since it also shows the button inputs too. Now there is another addition that's actually pretty neat, even if it's a little gimmicky. By tilting the 3DS upright, the game will switch to dynamic view, which is a fancy way of saying the camera moves directly behind your character. It's actually pretty similar to the viewpoint used in the original Mario's Tennis on the Virtual Boy, except that the game unknowingly disables the screen's 3D feature when playing in this mode. Like the chance shots, Nintendo should at least have given us the option, particularly since the 3D screen lends itself perfectly to this view, but I digress. So anyway, when in dynamic view, you can actually aim your shot simply by moving the system to change where you're looking. Now because aiming in this manner can be a little tricky while moving your character, the game provides the option of letting the computer handle all your movement for you, similar to Wii Sports Tennis. It works pretty well and is perfect for beginners since the touchscreen controls are actually much more usable when you don't have to worry about movement. My only major complaint, besides the lack of 3D, is that it's far too easy to accidentally enable this view during a match by mistakenly moving your system. Thankfully, this at least is an option you can turn off. Now more hardcore players are probably going to stick to the standard viewpoint and controls, especially when playing online, but it's a fun addition to toy around with occasionally all the same. Another big part of any Mario sports game is the personality, and this is where the game suffers a little bit compared to past outings. Right off the bat, you'll notice that the game's opening, while slick, lacks the charm of the elaborate intro featured in Mario Power Tennis, which followed the antics of Wario and Waluigi. And even beyond that, the well-themed courts in that game also feature some fun gimmicks that force you to change how you play the game on a per-court basis. And yes, you can even turn them off if you didn't like them. And although Mario Tennis Open's courts are equally well themed, they lack any other unique gameplay features besides changing the ball's speed and bounciness. It's a little disappointing, particularly since the worlds are often the best part of Mario's universe. Fortunately, one element that the game nails is the selection of special games, which each offers a fun tennis twist. In Galaxy Rally, you'll try to collect the star shards to earn coins while avoiding falling into the gaps. And in Ring Shot, you'll have to try and aim your ball through as many rings as possible within the time limit. But the best one, by far, is Super Mario Tennis. Here you'll interact with a version of the original Super Mario Bros. By slamming coins and enemies with a tennis ball. It is freaking awesome. The only thing not awesome about it is that it's only 4 levels long. But hey, you can play cooperatively with a friend too, with both of you playing from opposite sides of the TV, which is a pretty unique implementation. Regardless of how many people you play with, it's a lot of fun. However, this isn't entirely the case for the rest of the game. Really, when it comes to the main game of tennis itself, it's almost always much more fun with friends. That's not to say it's not fun when by yourself, but it can get a little repetitive, particularly with a heavy reliance on chance shots in order to beat difficult CPU opponents. But when you play with friends, things can get pretty intense. And thankfully, you're not just limited to playing with friends nearby either, since you can play online as well. Though you are limited to singles matches only if you're playing with strangers. And though the online worked pretty well in our experience, we also encountered a noticeable lag frequently that actually reminded us more of the jittery online of Super Smash Bros. Brawl than it did the seamless Mario Kart 7. But it never got to the point of being unplayable. With that said, the game's production values are otherwise fantastic. The visuals are wonderfully colorful, and the music might be the best of any Mario sports game yet. Just listen to this track from the Penguin Iceberg Court. Pretty catchy, right? Before I wrap things up, there is one other feature that I hinted at the start of the review: customization. Although the game lacks the scope of the RPG mode of the previous portable Mario Tennises, it does retain some of the customization in the form of the clubhouse. Here you can purchase various equipment that you've unlocked by playing the game and equip it on your Mii. Now these items aren't just for looks, as they impact your player's power, spin, and move attributes. You can then take your pimped out player and put them to the test against a computer or even your friends, both locally and online. Although it may not be the RPG mode that many hope for, it should still provide a lot of room for tinkering around and make a player that best suits your playstyle. I just wish you could customize the rest of the Mario crew instead of just your Mii. All in all, Mario Tennis Open is a fun and worthy follow-up to the series, though it brings with it nearly as many downgrades as it does improvements. Although the chance shots are far better than the GameCube version's power shots, the inability to disable them is disappointing. And despite Mario Tennis Open's strong production values, a little bit of the GameCube's charm was lost in the transition, such as the epic opening and unique court mechanics. But as a multiplayer experience, the game really does come to life, which is why I'm giving it 4 stars out of 5, as long as you play with friends. Now if you're playing by yourself, it's still a fun and rewarding experience, just one that's also often repetitive and sometimes annoying, which is why I'm giving the single player a slightly lower 3.5 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more Mario Tennis Open and all things gaming.